Hello and welcome to the Back Nine Report. Every week, Fred Alvera and I checking on the world of golf and bring you the latest news, insights, and analysis. And this week, we have a good one for you, with Rory McIlroy finally clinching the elusive Masters and joining the legendary ranks of career Grand Slams winners. He's just the sixth player in history to do it. The golf naturally turns to the next big question: who's next? So, who among the today's elites is closest to checking off all the four major championships in their career? So, Fred, let's take a deep dive into the leading candidates. So, how are you today?
Carlos, I'm great. Spent the weekend, Easter weekend down in Chicago. Had a good time. Ate some great food and got to see some stuff. And just got home today and looking forward to doing this little discussion about who maybe could be the next guy to win the career Grand Slam on the PGA Tour.
Well, we have some active players to talk about, but we can't talk about those active players without recognizing who has done it so far. So, Fred, give us a little details about those six players that have done it so far.
Well, Carlos, as you mentioned, we just saw Rory close out, win the Masters. That was his career Grand Slam. He had won all of them, but it took him 11 years, 11 tries to do that, and you could see the pressure that he was under to try and get that done. He really wanted to get it. So the other guys, it's a pretty elite club, Carlos. You've got Gene Sarazen, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods, and Rory joins that group now. So there's a lot of great players that didn't get the career Grand Slam. We can talk about those later, but of these guys, Gene Sarazen, of course, played in the 20s and the 30s, ended with 8 major titles in his career. He also closed out his career Grand Slam at just the second Masters tournament ever held. It was called the Augusta National Invitational back then. It wasn't even called the Masters back then yet. In 1935, and he hit the shot that was heard around the world. It was a double eagle that propelled him to victory. Despite joining the military during World War II and a horrible car accident that cost him more than a year of competitive advantage on tour, and his legs that were tightly braced during his rounds, Ben Hogan won 9 major titles. He won the PGA Championship 3 times. But in 1953, when he won the Masters, the US Open, and the Open Championship, he didn't even get to compete in the PGA because he had played in the Open and couldn't get back to the States in time to be in it because of a scheduling conflict, the way they had it set up. It's no secret, Gary Player logged more miles competing in professional golf tournaments around the world than anybody else, by far. He completed his Grand Slam in 1965 by winning the U.S. Open. In all, he won 8 majors. Gary's always was a great player, still is a great ambassador for the game. With 18 major championship victories, the most of anyone, Jack Nicklaus actually completed the career Grand Slam 3 times. He didn't just do it once like Rory. He's got 3 of those babies. He completed the first one in 1966 by winning the Open Championship. Tiger Woods, we've seen Tiger. We've been lucky enough to watch his whole career from the time he was a 3 or 4-year-old all the way up to now when he's really having trouble competing because of his injuries and things like that. But Tiger has 15 majors. He's second all time to Jack, of course. Tiger completed the first of his 3 career Grand Slams at the 2000 Open at St. Andrews. And coincidentally, he completed his second career Grand Slam at the 2005 Open, also at St. Andrews. So that's kind of a nice little historical note. In 1997 and 2005, he won 13 of his 15 majors. Of course, he won the Masters late and a PGA in there later on. But this is, his career was unprecedented, unbelievable. He won in bunches when he was winning. So, Carlos, that's a little bit about the guys that have already won. Who's up next? Who are the active players? Who do you think? Who do we need to be talking about or thinking about that maybe could be doing a career Grand Slam down the road?
Well, we have to start talking about Scottie Scheffler, the world's number one. He's 28. He has 2 major wins. He's the Masters twice, 2022 and 2024. So his Grand Slam status right now, he needs the U.S. Open, the Open Championship, and the PGA Championship. But he's undeniably, the hottest golfer on the for the past 4 or 5 years. multiple PGA Tour wins in 2024. He might not be right now as dominating performances because of he's coming back from an injury that set him off, but he's basically the model of elite consistency, consistent top 10 finishes. And we can talk about his finishes in the Grand Slam tournaments, the majors, the last 18 majors, he has 14 top 10s and 2 wins. Yeah, he needs 3, but his Grand Slam outlook to me is very high with his mental toughness, elite ball striking, and all-around game. I think he's the odds-on favorite among current players to eventually complete the career slam. But we'll talk about that and his chances among the others. But I think his chances are very high. What do you think about Scotty Scheffler?
Yeah, I think he does have a very good shot of winning a career Grand Slam. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I think he has a good shot. And like you see, it's based on his performance. We're not just guessing at this thing. He's performed well in the big tournaments. He's been the number one player in the world, Carlos, for 136 weeks. So, since 2022, he's been number one. He is so consistent from tee, his iron shots, his chipping and short game around the greens is as good as anybody else in the game right now. The only thing that maybe lets him down from time to time is still that putter a little bit, but he's putting much, much better than he did maybe a year and a half ago. He's really up that. And like you said, I think he's a little slow getting going this year, but coming off a career year last year, 7 wins, they were all big wins. You throw a Masters in there, players in there. I mean, he had some really big wins last year. They were all signature events, it seemed like. So for him to back that up and have another big year this year, not so much. But I think he still has a great shot. We've got 3 majors left to go. I think he's got a great shot at maybe adding to his career Grand Slam even yet this year.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, even without winning, and despite a slow start to the 2025 season, he's joining Tiger Woods and Greg Norman and Dustin Johnson as the people that has more than 135 weeks at the top. He actually passed
He passed
Dustin
DJ.
Johnson.
Yeah, he
So
did. Yeah.
he's right now third. He still has a way to go to get to
Yeah.
Greg Norman
Well,
or
Tiger has
even,
like what, 7 or 8 years or some damn thing. I
yeah,
mean,
635 weeks
yeah, it's
for
over 10 years, 11 years. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's incredible. Scotty still has ways to go for that, but at least one thing that is on his radar would be to be the Grand Slam winner. And how about Xander Schauffele? I mean, he's 30 years old, has 2 major wins. He has the PGA Championship and the Open Championship. Both happened last year. So he's fresh off starting to win majors. He needs the Masters and the US Open. And it seems like he finally turned the corner last year. He finally shed the best without a major label. His wins at the PGA and the Open were not flukes, not at all. They were the results of years of elite consistency and clutch performances under pressure. If there's a player that really likes to go out under pressure and perform, that's Xander Schauffele. He's firmly in his prime and now playing with the confidence of a major champion. His Grand Slam outlook to me is very strong. There's 2 majors in the same year. Sanders suddenly right in the thick of the Grand Slam conversation. If his current form, Fred, holds and his putting continues to improve, I think Augusta and the U.S. Open could absolutely be within reach in the coming years.
I see Xander Schauffele's game made for a U.S. Open. He's so consistent, tee to green, so consistent, and he's a really good putter. So I don't know. I think a U.S. Open is very, very near in his future. I see that happening sooner and not later. And he won the PGA and the Open last year. I'd see him win a Masters. I don't know why. I think Xander Schauffele has a really good chance of closing this out and getting a career Grand Slam. Unlike Scotty, he's already got halfway there because Scotty's got 2 majors like Xander, except they're both at the same tournament, the Masters. So Scotty needs three more really, where Xander just needs 2 more. He needs just the Masters and the U.S. Open. So at the age of 31, he's still got plenty of time. He's had high finishes in the Masters. He's had high finishers in the U.S. Open. So I mean, these things are hard to do, But if anybody can do it, I think Xander Schauffele has a really good shot, Carlos.
Sender, definitely. If you look at his last three finishes, including this year on the Masters, he was T10 8 last year, T8 again this year. So he's knocking on the door there. And then the US Open 2023 was T10, T7 last year, T7 last year. So he's definitely has top 10 finishes the past 2 years. So he's really close. He's really turning the corner. And he's one of those players that could be there. Now,
Yep.
how about Jordan Spieth? He's 30, has three major wins. He has three of them. He's actually the one that is closest to completing the Grand Slam. He's the Rory McIlroy right now. He won the Masters in 2015, the US Open that same year. That's the year that he then in 2017 he won the Open championship. That was his last one. So he's kind of like Rory. It's been a while since he's been able to be there and try to win a championship. He still needs the PGA championship. Unfortunately, I remember when we started to talk about him when he was just on the top of the world, he was number one, but he was playing everywhere. And then, he started to, okay, let me see if I can cut back my schedule. Let me tinker a little bit with my swing. Then the wrist injury, and that wrist injury definitely has derailed him really, really bad. I mean, he's had several surgeries to try to get that wrist back in shape. So his recent form, unfortunately, has been inconsistent, has shown flashes of brilliance and creativity, especially in early rounds, but he has been struggling to string four good rounds together in the recent season. So Fred, injuries and swing issues have also been a concern. I think his Grand Slam outlook is moderate because while his window isn't closed, I think it's narrowing. He has to get healthy and back to full confidence, maybe more than anything else. If that happens, then the PGA Championship would finally fall his way.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I can't disagree with pretty much anything you said. Unlike these other guys, he just does have three of the major titles. So that's to his favor. He just needs a PGA if he could get hot for a week. So he's 31 years old. So let's say he's got another 5, 6, maybe 7 years. So he's got another 6 or 7 PGAs to try and win one of those things. And he does have these flashes of brilliance. I mean, we've seen him play really well even the last year or two, and then he just goes away and you don't see him. His driving is so erratic. That's the biggest thing with Jordan. If he could ever, it's like Seve. Seve was a terrible driver of the golf ball. He could do anything else with a golf club, but driving the golf ball, he really struggled with. And same with Jordan. His iron play, his chipping. Oh, his chipping is otherworldly. Every time you watch him play, it seems like he chips in from a bunker or off the green or something, and makes long putts. He's a tremendous putter. Remember when he was winning back in 2015, 2016, 2007, he was making putts from everywhere. 30, 40 footers, were dropping in for him. And those don't seem to go in with as much regularity as they used to. So that holds him back a little bit. But his chipping and short game is what keeps him in it. And a lot of times in a US Open or a major championship, that's really important, especially like in the Masters. You're not going to hit all the greens. You've got to be able to get it up and down and save par or give yourself a chip it in and make a birdie still. And Jordan has the ability to do that. He has a tenacity. He wants it. He still wants to play hard. He needs to figure out this driving though, because he's so inconsistent with that. That's what really holds him back, Carlos.
Definitely, definitely. I think he first of all has to be fully healthy. Then he has to work on his confidence. Then we'll see if he does. I think the issue that he had. Let me tinker a little bit with my drive. Try to compete more with the higher hitting guys was a mistake. But hey, we'll see. We'll see. We cannot close his window yet, but we cannot talk about Jordan Spieth without talking about Justin Thomas. JT's 31, two major wins, but like Scheffler, they both have come in the same tournament. Not the Masters for him is the PGA Championship, 2017, 2022. So he hasn't won one since the 2022. He's the Masters, the US Open, and the Open Championship. His recent form, my God, he just won this past tournament, but he's had a roller coaster past couple of seasons. I was struggling with form. mainly confidence to me, missing cuts in big events like the majors. He has missed six cuts in the past 2 years. So I mean, he has occasionally flashed that elite talent that made him a two-time major winner, former world number one. He's shown signs of revival this last year, and solid finishes. His iron play, I think, has improved, but he still has some inconsistency to him. My Grand Slam outlook to him is uncertain, but it's possible. I mean, he still has to regain his putting touch, his mental edge. I don't see it as it was. He has absolutely the pedigree to win any of the three majors he's missing, but his inconsistency, Fred, is what I think makes the path to a Grand Slam a steeper climb. Unless he stabilizes his form, it's going to be an uphill climb.
Yeah, Carlos, if you remember, I started talking about JT back in 2023. He'd been working with Tiger a lot, playing a lot of golf with Tiger, and trying to learn to hit all the shots under every circumstance. And I think that, I think he missed some of those out on tour in a tournament. And so his confidence waned. And he's got the shots. He can probably in practice, he can do them at will, no problem. But when you're on the golf course, as you know, it's a little different deal, right? And I just see he's being inconsistent at the wrong times. He probably needs to go back. You know, I go back to Bruce Litsky. All these guys want to come up and then they start tinkering around trying to do all this other stuff. Bruce Litsky never did that stuff. And probably nobody out there knows who Bruce Litsky is because we're older guys. We know that. But he just played one shot. That was it. There were courses that he didn't go play because his one shot didn't work there, but that was okay. He just stayed home and coached his son's little league baseball team. There's no problem. He made enough money at the other places when he played good. So I think Justin needs to go with that high fade. Just stick with it. Play when the pin's on the right side, hit that fade in there. If the pin's on the left side, just hit that fade to the middle of the green and then lean back on your putter. He's good enough from tee to green. Quit screwing around. I think he needs to play a little bit more conservatively, maybe. I think he's trying to do too much, and it's got him kind of messed up. So I think I really like Justin Thomas. I see him winning a couple more majors. Whether he gets a career Grand Slam or not, he needs three of them. So I don't know if he's going to get that done, but he's 31. He's got another, just like Jordan, he's got another 6-7 years of prime career here to get it done. So yeah, maybe, but he's a long shot when you put him in the mix with these other guys, Carlos.
Well, 6 or 7 years, he just need one of each of the three. So he could do it, but we'll see. Right now, his outlook is bleak. Now, your guy, Colin Morikawa, he's 27, two major championships, PGA Championship in 2020, the Open in 2021. That was his last major championship. Still needs the Masters and the U.S. Open. Uh, he has been consistently competitive. I mean, frequent top 10 finishes at majors and signature events. He's a major player. His iron playing, oh my God, remains one of the best in the game. He's still improving his short game and putting, which makes it scary for anybody here. He had a strong last year, multiple close calls. He shows that shows that he's knocking on the door again. To me, his Grand Slam outlook is high potential. He's only 27. Had both has both time and talent on his side. If he stays healthy and continues to evolve his all-around game, which is already elite, he has a realistic path to a career in Grand Slam. Augusta and the U.S. Open will test different elements of his game, but he's already shown that he's capable of adjusting for it. So he has a very high potential of winning.
Yeah, as you know, I love Kyle Morikawa. I love his game. I love his swing. I like his demeanor, his attitude, everything about him. I really like. And I think he could be a guy that could add a career Grand Slam. Now, like you say, he's got a leg up of some of these other guys, and all these guys we're talking about have at least two major championships. The problem is like Scotty Scheffler and some of the other guys, Justin Thomas, their two is at one event, so they still need three wins at majors at different tournaments. Colin, on the other hand, has won a PJ and won an Open, so he only needs the two. He just needs a Masters and a U.S. Open. And if anybody can win a U.S. Open, Colin Morikawa should be able to win a US because off the tee he is so consistent. He's a great iron player. What lets him down still is a little bit of chipping and a little bit of his putting. He can go on a putting where he just can't make anything. And then he loses confidence and it really looks ugly at times on the greens for him. But when the weeks where he's hitting greens with his second shots, and putting halfway is decent, he is really tough to beat. And so I like Colin Morikawa. I think his odds are much better than a lot of these other guys to complete a career Grand Slam before he gets done.
He does, and he has a very good chance at that. Let's talk about now about some LIV guys. Bryson DeChambeau, he's 30, has two major wins, both US Opens, 2020 and 2024. So that was last year. He's the reigning US Open champ. He needs the Masters, the Open, and the PGA Championship. So he's also on the same boat as Scotty Scheffler and Justin Thomas, needing three. Not that it's the same, but Bryson, I have to admit, he has been making some serious noise again. I call it Bryson bad 3.0. Especially with his 2024 US Open, that was a reminder of like where Arnold Palmer used to win majors, and not majors, just winning. That type of fanfare and all that he's got. Now playing, I think he has refined his approach from all power. Let's go that to a more strategic, mature game. And that has paid a long way for him. I mean, he's still long off the tee, but now he's backed by a better decision making and putting. Despite playing on the LIV tour, I mean, his ability to pick at the majors is undeniable. So, Fred, his Grand Slam outlook to me is moderate. He has two US Opens under his belt, so that means he can win anywhere. He's shown he can handle the toughest test in golf. The big question to me is whether he can adapt his game to finesse and patience needed at Augusta. It showed this year. I mean, the creativity of links golf and the toughness of PGA setups. That's what he has to adapt to. I see his talent is there, but the window may depend on consistency and his health, and if he can actually calm down a little bit and let the golf game come to him.
I would argue, Carlos, that if you can win a US Open, you can win any golf tournament. There's no tournament played, no major that is more demanding than a US Open. The course setups are always difficult. The rough is always difficult. And Bryson has won two of these things, okay? So I see him with no barriers. Now, like Scotty and like JT, he's only won the one major. So for the career Grand Slam, he's got three to go. But we just saw him competing very high in the Masters. We've seen him do well in a PGA. So the Open is the one that I don't know if Bryson can win. That's the one that I'm not sure about because of the winds and the weather and the conditions. I'm not sure about all that. And what we saw, we talked about it for the Masters. I just saw Bryson missing wedge shots. I saw him not being able to control his distance with his wedges, and there were big gaps. Well, I'm not talking about a couple yards here. I'm talking about 10 yards of difference in long or short in his wedge game, and that's for a pro. That's no good. You've got to be much better than that, much more consistent than that. So, but I have confidence that he will figure that out. And my other comment is, Carlos, that the PGA Tour really needs Bryson back. He's like the second most popular player in the world right now. Fans want to see him. They want to see him here in the United States playing. They don't want to see him on the LIV. We really need to get him back to the PGA Tour, and I think he'll be one of these guys. And when his contract's up, he's going to be coming back to the PGA Tour. I really believe that. There's no possible benefit for him to stay on the LIV. He's already got a pocket full of money. He's going to be making a bunch more money in the United States if he comes back and gets sponsors and things like that. So I'm pretty high on Bryson getting a career Grand Slam before he's all done, Carlos.
Definitely has the chance. And like you mentioned, the PGA Championship to me is within reach, especially because he has a T4 and a second place in his last two outings there. So he's knocking on the door. We'll see now at the PGA Championship as the next major. We'll see what happens. But the Open Championship, he has not done anything on it.
It's a different. That's a whole different animal. That Open Champ. That's a whole different deal.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
has missed the cut, T51, cut, T33. He had a T8 on 2022, but then T60 and missed the cut last year. So definitely that's the one that if he ever figures out, then definitely watch out because he can win all the others. We'll see what happens. Now let's talk about Brooks Koepka. Brooks Koepka is one of those players that whenever there's a major championship, you have to count on him. But lately, it hasn't been that way. And one of the things that you might count, he's 34 years old, so he's not getting any younger. He has 5 major wins, 2 U.S. Opens, which to your comment, he can win anywhere then. PGA Championship, he has won it 3 times. The last major win was in 2023, the PGA Championship. So he needs the Masters and the Open Championship. But he has been battling injuries. He has shown flashes of vintage dominance. That 2023 win on the PGA Championship win was a reminder that he's still a major threat. The LIV schedule has limited effect on his competitive edge, so it seems like maybe that's affecting him. Also, the injury, but he has the mental game. To me, his Grand Slam outlook is moderate because he has a mental game and experience. But Augusta and Link style golf haven't suited him yet. But if his health holds, he could still get there.
Yeah. So I of this list, I'm pretty high on Brooks actually. He just likes to play in the major championships. That's what he gets up for. And you mentioned like what he's done in the past 2 or 3 years. Well, let's not forget he was a 54 hole leader at the Masters last, when John Rahm won. And so he can play Augusta. I think the pressure just got to him, and he folded on the last day. But he can win a Masters. There's no question in my mind. Brooks Koepka can win a Masters, and I really think he has the game. And he played enough in Europe. He's one of the guys. I mean, he grew up on the DP tour, the DP World Tour. That's where he went to earn enough credits to get onto the PGA Tour. He didn't play the Corn Ferry and Web.com. He went to Europe and played on the DP World Tour. So he's got experience playing on links golf courses. I think he can win an Open Championship, and I'm sure he can win a Masters. So he just needs the two, where some of these other guys still need three. So and Brooks, he's probably of the group that we're talking about. I think he's the most tenacious, wants to win the worst of any of them. Even though he's got a pocket full of money now that the LI gave him, he still wants to win major championships. And he's a guy that I'm pretty sure that as soon as his contract's up next year, he's coming back to the PGA Tour. So we could see Brooks coming back. We could see DeChambeau coming back. And then if they get into the competition the way it is on the tour, and it brings their game up just a little bit, major championships are very, very much in their future, Carlos.
I think there's 4 guys that we are going to see coming back immediately after that. Bryson, Brooks, I see John Ram, and I see also Cameron Smith. I
Yeah,
think
but
those
John
are
Ram's got a couple more years yet. He just went. So
he does, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's talk about another guy from the LIV, and it's Dustin Johnson. He's on the wrong side of the age. He's 40 and he has 2 major wins, the US Open and the Masters, which was his last win in 2020, needs the Open Championship and the PGA Championship. So, but I see that since he joined LIV in 2022, his visibility has declined. But he remains one of the most naturally gifted players of his generation. But while he still hasn't contended consistently at the majors in recent years, he still has the power, the experience, and composure to make a run when in form. But he has a fading window to me. DJ has the game to win any major stage, but the time and competitive sharpness may be working against him. I see that if he would return to full form, but I don't know what would that take for him. He gets hot at the right time. Grabbing a PGA or Open Championship isn't out of reach. Still, the odds of competing the Grand Slam are getting very slim as the years pass by.
yeah, I have to agree with you 100%. He has a couple of really nice majors. And I don't know why he can't win a PGA. I mean, he could still win a PGA. We saw Phil won a PGA at what, 52? And we've seen Darren Clark and other guys win Open championships up into their mid 40s. So it's very doable. Phil won. Phil was 40 when he won Open, right? I think something like that. So yeah, I just don't think Dustin has the desire. I don't think it means anything to him. Um, he's kind of the opposite of Brooks Koepka. Dustin kind of just shows up, puts his time in. Okay, it's just another golf tournament. And then if I don't make the cut, I'm going to go home. No big deal. I don't think a career Grand Slam means anything to him. He got his money. He made a lot of money on the PGA Tour, and he made even more money when he jumped over the LIV. So I think that's the motivator for him. It's just a job, and I don't think the awards and the acclamation mean a lot to him. So I don't see him being a factor in this whole thing. He may accidentally stumble into one a career Grand Slam, but I don't see it being a factor for him.
I think you have a great point there. Is his will? Does he really want to do it anymore? He's 40. He has a great family. He has all the money that he needs and more. So whether he really wants to put the time on and do it, that's just it. Now let's talk about two more people. One that I want to give an honorable mention is John Ram. He's 30 years old. He has two major wins, the US Open in 2021 and the Masters 2023. So he needs the PGA Championship and the Open Championship. He has been adjusting to LIV Tour life, but he still shows up in the majors. I mean, he's one of my favorite players. His game is complete, long, accurate. He's mentally tough. He does want to win him. So his Grand Slam outlook is high potential to me. With the Masters and US Opens already in the back and his prime years ahead, he has a strong shot at the career Grand Slam. The question to me is whether, the LIV Tour life and the schedule is really affecting him. I think that the backlash that he got when he moved to the LIV has affected him mentally, and he hasn't been able to. I've always talked about John Ram being a very mental guy, and his attitude and all that. So I think it's eating at him the way that people have reacted to him, and he hasn't adapted yet to the LIV Tour life yet.
Yeah. So a couple things with John. Uh, I really, I really believe that the LIV, the competition is not. You don't maintain your competitive edge. So that when you come to play in a major, if you're playing on the LIV, you got your money in your pocket. Yeah, you're playing, and maybe you have a good week. But if you don't, it's no big deal because I already got my money. So there's a little bit of a lower competitive edge week to week. So when you come to a major for a guy like John Rahm, who has high expectations, he tries to dial it up a little bit. Well, he hasn't been doing it. He's not doing that on a weekly basis on the LIV, and it's not working for him now on when he comes over to playing a major. He needs of all these guys, his mental attitude and his confidence. He needs to be playing week in and week out on the PGA Tour against really good competition, so that when he gets to a major, it's just another week for him. Okay, I just got to hit this shot. I got to hit the next shot. I just got to hit this shot. Instead of putting pressure on to hit every shot perfectly. That's what I really see with John Rahm, Carlos. You can disagree with me, but I really don't think he's getting the competition on the LIV that he needs to maintain the sharpness for the majors.
I have to agree. Yeah. I think that's the problem with the LIV guys, other than Bryson DeChambeau. I mean, he's just showing up and keep doing the best in the majors, but everybody else, it seems to like fade a little bit from visibility on the majors. Now, let's talk about who has not won a major and has a chance to do that. Very tough, because if you haven't won one, you have to win four. And for a lot of people, time is passing by. But I think we have to talk about my new favorite young guy, and that is Ludwig Aberg, a guy that since he burst into the DP World Tour, I've been watching. He's incredible. He's just 24 years old. Yeah, he has not won a major, but his best major finish so far was his debut appearance last year at the Masters. He was runner-up, and he was right there. At one point, he was at 9 under at the Masters, and I was like, "Look, I got chills again." It was like, "Oh my God, if Rory's not gonna win, that's the guy I wanted him to win." But unfortunately, he didn't do it. He buckled under pressure. But since turning professional in mid 2023, which is just what, 2 years ago, has made an immediate impact. Winning on the PGA Tour, staring in the 2023 Ryder Cup for Europe, nearly winning the Masters, his first major appearance last year. Has such a smooth swing, man, and the leads ball striking, and I love his calm demeanor. He has already drawn comparison to legends because of that. To me, his Grand Slam outlook is too early to tell, but hey, watch closely because he has all the tools, distance, accuracy, short game, and a winning mindset. If that trajectory continues, he could become a serious Grand Slam threat in the next few years. So, Fred, for now, he's the name every golfing analyst is circling as the next big thing.
Yeah, for this segment, I put my note here: future players with potential. And so I was trying to think of future players, the guys that maybe haven't won one but have been threatening, and I only came up with one name, same as you, Ludwig Alberg. The guy could have very easily have two Masters championships, and he was only played in 5 majors. Okay, so this is just his second year playing in major championships, and he's already been a contender a couple times. So I think this guy's game is made to win the big events. The only thing is that if I were coaching him or working with him, he likes to play fast. I get that. I think he needs to slow down just a touch. I think he's just a little bit too fast. But I just love his game. I love his demeanor. I love his attitude. The whole thing. He's got everything. There's very little stuff that he lacks to be able to win these major championships. And I think he's going to win a bunch. When he gets started, I think he could be like Tiger. He could win over a course of 5 years. He might win 5, 6, 7 majors, over the course of 5 or 6 years. And winning 2 or 3 a year, he could absolutely do that. He is just a tremendous, tremendous talent, barring injury, barring change or some other outside factor that we don't know about. But he's got a really bright future. And if somebody that we haven't seen yet that maybe could win a career Grand Slam, I would say it would have to be Ludwig Alberg.
Definitely. So the question to you is, so who will be the next name edge alongside Tiger, Jack, and now Rory in golf's most exclusive club?
Of the names we talked about, Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, and Dustin Johnson. I like Brooks Koepka. He would be of that list, he would be my number one because he is a factor in almost every major. Now that's, yeah, there's been a couple when he hasn't, and again, I kind of equate him to like Jon Rahm. I don't think he's getting enough competition on the LIV. I think if he played on the PGA Tour all the time, I think he would be much sharper when he gets to a major. And to get much sharper, you got to win because he's had some runner-ups, and he did win a major last year. So, the guy's pretty good, and he loves to play in major championships. So, of the guys on this list, I would put Brooks.
So I will give you my take is Xander Schauffele because on the short term, his form and he's already has two, and
Right.
he's shown that he can actually win or be. He's competing like I mentioned, T10, 8, and T8 on the Masters, and then T10 and T7 at the U.S. Open, and he already has the PGA and the Open Championship. The Open to me is like the tournament that you have to like. Oh my God, how do I win it? Especially for the American guys.
It's just a
And
different deal. Yep.
is a different one, and he already has it. And he's been top 10 in the U.S. Open, top 10 in the Masters. Short term, I think he's the one with the most potential. Long term, I would say Scotty Scheffler, but I think Brooks has to get back to that competing every day, like you mentioned in the PGA Tour, to see him back in top form. But to me, I think Sander is the one that is closest to. And long term, once Scotty Scheffler comes back, because that's the other one that has been around competing in all four, being top 10 in each one of them. Like I mentioned, 14 top 10s in the last 18 Grand Slams. That's insane, insane. So if he gets back to top form, he's another one that could win.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Carlos, before we wrap this up, I want to just mention and just kind of highlight how difficult this is to do, okay? Here's some players that did not complete a career Grand Slam. Arnold Palmer finished runner-up 3 times in a PGA championship, but never won one. You'd think Arnold would have won a PGA. You'd think he would, because his dad was a PGA guy, and you'd think that would be right there high on his list. Tom Watson won 8 majors. 5 of those came at the Open Championship, but he, like Arnold, never won a PGA. His best finish was runner-up in 1978. Byron Nelson, Iron Byron, my goodness, he won 5 majors, won the Masters and the PGA twice to go with 1 U.S. Open, but he never won the Open Championship. And in those days, those guys didn't go over and play it that much. They only went over maybe once or twice because it was too expensive for them, and they just never went back. So Byron Nelson, as great a player as he was, never won an Open Championship. Sam Snead, and this kind of surprised me because Sam won 7 majors, 3 Masters, 3 PGAs, and the 1946 Open. He got an Open. He just never had the U.S. Open, and he was runner-up like 4 times. Okay, Ben Hogan beat him 1 time. On a really close. I don't. They might have been out of playoff maybe 1 time. But Snead could play anywhere and play any golf course. I was really surprised that he never made that. And then this guy we got to talk about a little bit. At the age of 54, Phil Mickelson still actively playing in majors, and he just won his 2nd PGA in 2021. But since moving to LIV, he has not been a factor in the major tournaments. He has 6 runner-ups at a U.S. Open, and that's the one he hasn't won. The one he did have won, and he gave it away. So he's a guy that could still do it, but I don't see him winning a U.S. Open at the age of 54, Carlos.
No, I mean, I'm not going to say no because he won the PGA Championship when nobody gave him a chance.
On if not the toughest golf course in the world, maybe the 2nd or 3rd toughest golf course.
Right. And Phil is that type of player that, hey, if he gets hot 1 week, right, he could do anything, but it's tough. We'll see. But anyway, let us know in the comments who you think is going to be the next one. Do you agree with us? Do you have somebody else in mind? Who did we miss? Or if you think there's somebody other than Ludwig Alberg that can do it, let us know in the comments. One thing is for sure, the race to the next Grand Slam is officially on. We'll be following every step right here on the Back Nine Report. So remember to like and subscribe to stay with the updates in every single one of our podcasts. Thank you for joining.